lost all that. I have a feeling I did.
Well, we can recount that, okay?
Well, you know, it's always a fuck job first. It's something I'm used to.
Nice to meet you. Chief Emergency Medicine.
Yeah, I didn't.
This is why I wanted to be directly across, Diane.
I know. Well, okay, nice, he's gonna introduce himself?
Nice to meet you, sir. You're Chris.
Hi, Chris Caldwell.
Thanks. Nice to meet you,
Nice
sir.
to meet you.
And your position is
I'm Chief of Emergency Medicine here at San Francisco General.
Chief of
Emergency Medicine.
Emergency Medicine. Okay.
So what I was, and Chris will be here until 3 also, and this grew out of our conversation yesterday about like what's going to be, what have we learned from what we saw on the security video once it surfaced here, and that was when we were talking about the specific training.
Could we guys get a little closer, because I'm a little concerned about the volume being picked up. I'm not
Sorry.
trying to be jerky here. I just want
Okay.
you all in the video.
How about this?
Yeah, at least I'm closer.
Better?
Better.
Okay. So how about if we start with, so they can do that. Would that be all right? Because they may need to go before.
Let's start with when, self-reporting.
I'd have to get that from regulatory, the exact date, but I can tell you, the moment that we were made aware of the video, that we accessed and viewed it, that I believe we found out in the evening, that next morning we
Okay,
self-reported.
may I ask a stupid question?
Yes.
What was involved in this? What did you self-report? Was it the Impala violation? Was it the assault? Was it the lack of proper patient care? I mean, what does licensing and certification regulate?
Self-reporting.
I would have to have someone from our regulatory department. I don't do that myself, they do, but we can certainly get that information to you.
So when I do, I work on, we can get the date and then also just figure out what we can get to you, what was self-reported.
Okay.
So the date's knowable, we just don't have that information right now.
And what was self-reported, because if only half was
I can
self-reported,
tell you they got the video. They got a copy of the video as well.
I can tell you that I had offered them a video, and they told me that they didn't accept videos as evidence, which, you know, proves
Okay.
a very interesting question when it comes to licensing and certification.
Yeah, fair enough.
I have a question regarding the self-report and the kind of the process. Obviously, there was an incident, so there seems to be a huge gap. This was in April, and you're saying a week ago or thereabouts, as soon as you had access to the video, you self-reported. That's 3 months. And looked like another employee got thrown to the ground because he was slingshotted into her. So nothing was reported on, self-reported at that point in time. I mean, what is the chain of command? Where's the process here?
They did not self-report that. We did
Who's
not know.
they?
The staff did not tell
The
us.
staff. And who was the staff that day? We will need that information, and we might as well request it here.
Yeah. I'm not sure at what point we can give that kind of information. I just don't know. We'll have to find that out.
Okay, and also, in addition, you know, I do have the MOU from the Sheriff's Department that clearly states that they're going to look out for public safety and everything else. So I'm confused as to why my public safety and everything that this supposedly MOU covers as far as proper training for them and all these other things. Here it is. The Memorandum of Understanding between the San Francisco Department of Public Health and the San Francisco Sheriff's Department for security services for $12 million a year to provide security services, not law enforcement, not ADA rights, not patient rights, nothing. Remember, I not only want this policy rescinded immediately and all these signs ripped off the wall saying that you can't videotape, put a sign up that's correct. You can videotape, but this is the correct way to do it. Don't get somebody else in. You know, these are our HIPAA regulations we got to sign. Don't use the subterfuge. You know, don't do this, don't do that.
Right.
And that's what we had talked about. One of the things that will come out with the policies that's being reviewed
that's fine. I'm still dealing with this MOU here,
Yep.
where they're
And that
supposed to
I
report.
can't tackle that today. I don't have anything from the sheriff.
Well, remember, I asked you to have Basil Price here. I know it was with an hour only, but
An hour
this is
before the meeting. So
correct.
Just to be clear,
Well,
and
we
as
only
Diane.
I only had your email about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the meeting.
And as I wrote in the email this morning, I have it by midday.
Yes.
And so,
But I didn't have your email address before that.
Not to worry, we're not gonna be able to solve all that today.
Of
Right.
course, I understand that.
We
I just
came
want it
to-
on
we
video
came
that
to-
I've done everything correctly.
Okay, fair enough, it's on the video. And so, what, the agenda I had sent earlier to Diane, and this is what I prepared these guys to come to talk about was, and I asked that we at least allow them to say what they're gonna say, so when time runs out at 3, they can go. These other questions, you'll not have to work out on how we do that. But the specific thing that came up yesterday was about, the training and what's gonna happen with training for staff and what kind of things planned around that. And so, give these guys a chance to talk about what they saw and what their plans are.
So we do have training scheduled. It'll start next week. It's called CPI Training, and it's de-escalation training in speaking to people and doing de-escalation techniques. It is a 4-hour training. That is an initial training with an instructor, both computer and didactic training.
And what does that have to do with Impala?
This is having to do with the fact that when people come in, this is not an EMTALA training. This is to de-escalate so that we can have conversation.
But if they'd had proper Impala training, we wouldn't be
And
at this point.
They've had EMTALA training, and we can demonstrate that EMTALA training has been done.
So they didn't
We are
perform their
doing-
Impala function under the Impala training. This is an admission that they violated the Impala law.
I did not say that.
You did not say that.
Okay.
I just want it for the film.
Right.
I want people to understand
Right.
the mind games, the risk management.
Okay,
You
all right.
can't acknowledge the truth at this point.
So back to the CPI training, does that include the fact that people are allowed to videotape? I mean, SF General is videotaping visitors, patients. They're using that information at will for their own education, their own programs. The private recordings, security footage for their own research, improvements. Did they get everybody else's consent? I mean, so does this CPI training have anything to do with training staff on the proper, acceptable ability of patients and visitors and staff even to videotape in public areas?
It is not training specified for that.
It's
The training
just
is de-escalation.
only because,
It is one of the trainings of many that staff will undergo.
okay.
So the specific stuff around the EMTALA and stuff, I won't be able to talk about today. And around the policy, we don't have the policies being reviewed as I talked to you on the phone yesterday. And once that's clarified, that absolutely will be.
What policy is being reviewed?
Around our current, the videotaping policy, the one that has been.
So it hadn't been reviewed before it had been written? I'm a little confused by the terminology.
Let me answer that. So as a consequence of this and the concerns you've raised has given us an opportunity to review it and decide, are we in compliance? Does this make sense? And that's where I said to Diane on the phone yesterday that's why we're talking to the
So
attorney's
once again, it confuses me. I'm sorry, I have an adjustment disorder.
Okay.
Those things weren't sought out before to make sure that it wasn't going to be a bad policy before it was written. It wasn't
Well,
made sure.
It wasn't part of that, but my understanding was that was the case. But we're reviewing
That was
it
the
again
case.
now.
Thank you.
And whatever the policy comes out now, what we'll also do after that is then ensure there's trainings and understanding as well as the
Okay, so now
appropriate signage to
let
be
me ask the
consistent with
appropriate follow-up
policy.
question. If that was appropriate and they had reviewed it and done everything, and that is your understanding, is it the same person who did everything, the same city
I
attorney?
don't honestly know.
Aha, so you can understand the nature of my question?
Sure, I can. But I'm trying to do the best with the answers we've got.
Of course, of
And-
course.
and
I'm still going to
just-
ask the right question.
Right.
I know when I'm being risk managed.
Okay, so with the signage specifically, because I was confronted with a very uptight sheriff department or security employee who turned beet red and was like, no, refused.
It's my way or the
And-
highway.
right,
There's the sign.
He needs to go outside, and I said, I need to speak with your supervisor, and I de-escalated him. So is your de-escalation only with your nursing staff?
No,
It's with,
it's with the provider staff.
The physicians as well.
And the sheriff's deputies have gone through CPI training, and I believe that, I don't know the scope if they are or not. I can speak for the providers and nurses. We can get that information for you.
Yeah. And that's the intention, is that it's going to be a team effort with the
Let me
same
put this on
vocabulary
pause and
of
start
how-
again, please, because I don't want it to